is going on, you guys? My name is Rage and we are back today with another Dark Dimension 3 playthrough and guide. In today's video, very exciting times. I've just wrapped up the cosmic nodes. Now we are moving forward now with the city nodes, being nodes 13 to 16. So with that being said, for this initial playthrough of the node, I am only going to use actually 2 characters. And I'm sure you're going to already guess who they are because I have brought them up numerous times in my previous videos. But first off, starting here, it is going to be Symbiote Spider-Man. Bringing him on board, he is the staple for the city nodes because he really does make it possible, especially with the fact that when he utilizes his passive here, you can see in Raids and Dark Dimension, essentially what happens if there's any negative effect on an enemy, not only will he heal himself, but he also heals the rest of his Spider-Verse and Symbiote allies for 3% of the max health. In addition, they also gain that 100% drain, which is extremely essential in terms of boosting the overall survivability for the fellow symbiote roster during these city nodes. With that being said, you can also see here that I've T4'd as well Symbiote Spider-Man's basic here, just due to the fact that, you know, it does apply a defense down for 2 turns. That's really invaluable for us, especially to apply a defense down, increasing our overall damage. And then last but not least, for another T4 here, I do recommend, it does actually apply the slow for 2 turns. So by doing that, not only will Symbiote Spider-Man have a really effective stun, but can apply defense down, but as well as a slow also when he activates his stun ability. Next, we are going to move on to the supporting cast here, being Carnage. You can see here with Carnage providing immense value to the Symbiote roster already, synergizing with Symbiote Spider-Man with the 100% drain and healing. The key for Carnage is actually his passive here, where essentially when an enemy drops below that 25% threshold, he's not only going to be able to fill up his speed bar, but as well as all his fellow symbiote allies, and as you can see, also having a heal himself as well. So this is really big because of the fact that essentially what's going to happen is we're going to get the advantage in speed meter over our enemies and really just getting more attacks in, healing up ourselves, and that's really where the advantage comes from when utilizing these symbiote characters in the city nodes, and that's why I really do recommend them. With that being said, these are the 2 that I am bringing on board right now. So with that said, let's dive right into the gameplay. Now, just a heads up on this note as well, you guys, I did actually just throw my symbiotes in there for the first attempt to soak up damage, so that's not captured on video here, but what you're seeing right now is the second attempt where I do actually use my abilities and go ahead and try to finish with the strategy. But if you're not able to continue in the first attempt, I would recommend just throwing them in there, soaking up some damage. Another key thing you can see from the video is that I've separated both Carnage and Symbiote from opposite sides, so that way if there's any chain attacks, it's obviously not going to spread across. So first and foremost, the strategy, you guys, we are actually going to go ahead and target Doctor Strange first. And you're going to see in this node, it is quite easy in the sense that they are quite squishy. So we'll go ahead and target all of our damage on Doctor Strange first. And fortunately, he does actually fall already with the bleed, thanks to our conditions that we placed on him. It's extremely important to really utilize a Symbiote Spider-Man stun. So I do actually go ahead and just stun Crossbones there just to slow him down. But really, another key character we have to take down is both Nick Fury and Invisible Woman, just because those 2 characters, they have a lot of sustainability, and if we don't take them down, unfortunately, it is going to be quite a grind for us going through it. So I saw Crossbones having his turn up, so really I try to use Symbiote Spider-Man to kind of slow down other characters that are about to get a turn, because keep in mind, the moment you use it, because of his drain, he does actually heal up both himself as well as Carnage. So very useful to have when you guys are trying to methodically think about when you want to use a stun. Now, it's nice that the Nick Fury actually cloned these minions so that, you know, as I said earlier, it's really important to utilize Carnage's passive because we really want to get more speed and turn meter before these enemies. So what we want to try to do then is, if there is an opportunity such as now where Nick Fury actually summoned those minions, we can actually go ahead and try to attack them for extra turns. Or you see in this instance where, you know, Agent Coulson's weaker, you could also attack him as well. But because the minions are actually weaker and squishier, I do recommend actually attacking them first. And you can already see kind of how it's compounding already. We're getting a lot of turn meter just by constantly just drilling our damage to these weaker guys. And the trick is really in being able to time that, especially when you see an enemy that has less than 10-20% health. You really want both Symbiote as well as Carnage to really hone in on them, because the more you attack them, the more you're going to heal, right? So you can see Carnage taking quite a beating here, but just watch here. We're going to go ahead and just start a rampage here, attacking these guys that are already weakened, and you can see how effective our healing is. Carnage unfortunately does have the blind, but this is also why I love Symbiote Spider-Man, because he can also help heal Carnage even with Carnage not attacking, thanks to, once again, Symbiote Spider-Man's passive ability there. So you can see Carnage getting that passive healing. That's also why I have the Ice of Weight on them as well for healing. So that's extremely important. Once again, we want to utilize the speed advantage that we have, but also keep in mind we have Symbiote Spider-Man stun as well now, and that's extremely effective to not only heal, but as well as buy us time, because we can stun key characters such as Invisible Woman, such as Agent Coulson, really preventing them from being able to make a move here. And by doing that, I love Symbiote Spider-Man's secondary effect with that ability as well, because it also applies a slow, which furthermore helps our team synergy, because of the fact that, you know, we're just getting more turn meter and we're getting more attack advantage. And keep in mind, following Dutch Rudder's guide here that I'll have in the description below, the next wave does spawn at 13 out of 19 enemies left. So that means out of this cluster here, we can still take down 3 more enemies. You know, one of them is going to be Invisible Woman, because we just don't want her going forward, especially with her having a cleanse. Hawkeye's looking pretty weak right now, but once again, we want to just keep applying the defense down, giving us that advantage here. And it's beautiful because we can also use Carnage special to apply some extra damage, but really you want to be focused on doing the damage as much as possible, because again, now that Crossbones is weaker, gives us additional turn meter once again. And just the synergy of the symbiote roster is just absolutely amazing. Unfortunately, you know, these guys do have quite a big advantage over us in terms of manpower, but we have such a huge advantage in terms of turn meter, because it's really about seeing those weaker targets like Hawkeye, Invisible Woman, Crossbones is almost down, and really just taking advantage of their weak health, because we're getting more turn meter, we're getting more attacks. Additionally, we have really good sustainability due to the fact that we have the healing, Symbiote Spider-Man's passive, as well as the ISO 8s. With 15 enemies left, we know that the next one does, the next 2 targets that fall do actually spawn the next wave. So I'm being mindful of that. I'm going to go ahead and stun Invisible Woman once again. Unfortunately, that is 13 out of 19 enemies. So this actually does spawn the next wave here. So that's why I am going ahead and targeting Invisible Woman as much as I can with prior to the next wave spawning here. We're taking her down now. You can see that the next wave does spawn, and it's going to be a shield trooper, a shield medic, as well as a shield assault. And keep in mind, the shield medic, I don't know if I saw this in the gameplay here, but you know, she does have the ability to revive, so we definitely want to be mindful of her. Unfortunately, with the Captain America here, we don't really have a choice. We have to attack him just due to his taunt. But once again, because Captain America was lower health, we can take advantage of the fact that the more we damage him, the more turn meter we get. And once again, we're back in a very favorable position. So 11 out of 19 enemies left. The next wave spawns at 9 enemies, so we're being mindful of that. I'm targeting straight from the get-go the healer, because medic can revive, and again, she also has a heal, so we just have to be mindful of that. But once again, we'll start our rampage here, applying the defense down. You know, the chain attacks is absolutely beautiful with this roster, and once again, the more we attack, the more turns we get, and they're not even really able to budge here. We finish off medic, and that actually also chains attack to the Graviton as well as Coulson. So really, the moment you can get going with the roster, you can see how easy it really does become. I know this this initial node for City is quite easier compared to the rest, but just to see this synergy in the first real attempt here for this node, you can really understand why it's so crucial and essential to have parts, or at least key characters of the symbiote roster being utilized in the City node. So with that being said, 8 out of 19 characters left here. With the Graviton spawning, I do like to target the characters that have a stun or slow, and you can see how fast we take them down, because honestly speaking, they're quite squishy, and the fact that our characters are either the same power level or higher, the fact that we have extra turn meter, there's only 5 out of 19 characters left, and I'm just going straight for Hawkeye because of the fact that he has a blind. Additionally, really, you should be just aiming for whoever has lower health on these waves, depending on how the wave started, because again, you just want to build that momentum, and the more momentum you have for that speed up, the more advantageous you will be, especially with progression of these nodes. So again, Captain America is taunting and weaker there, but because of the fact that he has lower health, it works in our favor. We want to extend those conditions when we can using Symbiote, especially with the special. And keep in mind too, this is the time where when it's down to the last 3-4 characters, this is generally when I would like to start kind of saving my energy. But because of the fact that these guys get so many turns, I would say it's not as important, but just make sure that at least both Carnage and Symbiote Spider-Man do have their ultimates ready to go for the next wave, or excuse me, next node. Their specials, not so much, because I'm pretty confident that the number of times they attack, they'll get it naturally over time anyways. But really, it's making sure that they have their ultimates ready to go. That's really what I think is the most important piece. So with that being said here, we're just going to wrap up. We're just going to finish off Crossbones here. He's close, and then as well, Cable, Squishy, so not an issue. I don't think a lot of players will have issues with this first node, especially if you only have 2 characters. As you can see, it really only took one real attempt here. Again, it wasn't captured on video, but my first attempt was intentionally used just to kind of soak up all the damage in the beginning, and that really leaves me with this really good opportunity to have a really meaningful attempt here. So I recorded in the gameplay here just to quickly show you the history. And again, don't stress, you guys. You know, I would say just take your time getting the biomaterials. But once again, you can see here 2 attacks total. First attack was intentionally just to soak up damage, and just to show the achievements, just as per my progress, you can see 399 days, and we are now officially done node 13. So as always, you guys, do appreciate you checking my channel, and I'll keep this up, and I'll see you in the next one.